North Platte hasn't any big war industries. I guess you could say we've started our own, exporting morale. Ray Wilson, founder of the North Platte World War II Canteen. There's an idea that history repeats itself. For the kind-hearted people in North Platte, Nebraska, this history of hospitality has repeated itself in an outpouring of love and generosity time and time again. June 18th and 19th, 2018, 700 servicemen and women passed through North Platte, stopping for lunch. Nothing very exceptional in that, except that it was made extraordinary by the love and generosity of the people of North Platte. Heading home from an arduous training mission in Wyoming, these young men and women enjoyed a short stop that mirrored the famous North Platte Canteen service members visited during World War II. December 17, 1941. A train passed through North Platte with soldiers heading to war. Originally believed to be made up of troops from North Platte, the women from this community were determined to make the holiday season stopover for their boys a little brighter. When they arrived at the station, they found that the train was filled with boys from Kansas rather than the familiar faces of their own loved ones. After some bewildered hesitation, one woman moved forward to give her basket of baked goods to those soldiers who were so far from home. The rest of the crowd followed suit, giving all they had to these soldiers, not wanting to take anything home. Soon after, Ray Wilson wrote to the paper looking for support. What followed built upon the heritage of hospitality shown by the previous generation in World War I and became an outpouring of generosity known as the North Platte Canteen. The idea was simple: show hospitality to the soldiers that were passing through, give them a warm meal, and lift their spirits as they went off to war. Up to 32 trains full of service members were said to come through each and every day, following on the same tracks of those boys from Kansas. As more and more trains passed through North Platte, volunteers from surrounding communities bolstered the efforts of this small Great Plains town, whose population at the time was only 12,000. Nearly 150 communities would become a part of the effort, and 55,000 men and women would give their time and resources to the canteen. During the 54 months of the operation, more than 6 million service members experienced this outpouring of hospitality. Soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen would sprint off the train to find hot coffee ready, sandwiches with homemade bread, eggs, cookies, donuts, and birthday cakes ready for them. A lucky few men received a popcorn ball with the name and address of a young woman who would become pen pals. In and out in just a matter of minutes, and they would be on their way, and the ladies of the North Platte Canteen would prepare for the next train. 6 million men and women passed through. Not a single train was missed. The canteen never closed, never ran out of food, and there was never a charge. These women knew that they were making a difference in the lives of their heroes, but what these folks did not realize was how the legacy of their kindness would be remembered by the service personnel who passed through and by the community, which has long recalled with pride their example of generosity. More than 70 years after the North Platte Canteen closed its doors, the community would once again rally to show their appreciation of the troops who volunteered to protect our country. In mid-June of 2018, Amanda Connick, the group tour specialist for the North Platte-Lincoln County Visitors Bureau, received a call from Klein Tours. The Motor Coach Charter Company would be transporting 700 troops from training in Wyoming back to their base in Arkansas, and they needed a lunch stop that could feed them all and get them back on the buses in an hour. Just the words, 700 servicemen and women passing through, sparked an idea. Yeah, a restaurant could be found to provide this need. But this is North Platte, and North Platte just doesn't let troops come through without recognition of their sacrifice. Why not take this opportunity to do something special?
Hi, this is Terri Mooney here at the DNN Events Center, and I am watching as we set up. I'm volunteering as we set up to serve 700 of the United States servicemen that are about to come through our town in North Platte, Nebraska, on way to location, mission, whatever they do, training. And I'm just going to talk to a few people about what's going on and how this is being spearheaded and how this all came together very, very quickly in a short amount of time. So one of the people that's in charge of this is Lisa Burke. And let's go ahead and visit with her.
We have volunteers here making eggs, deviled eggs. We're trying to recreate that canteen that we did back in during World War II. So we've had a tremendous outpour of people who want to help, volunteer. We're making deviled eggs, we're making sandwiches, we're making coffee. All the church ladies have brought in desserts, and of course we've got some birthday cakes, and hopefully we have some servicemen who have birthdays. So.
It's awesome how quickly it's come together, and all the volunteers that have stepped up, and everybody that's donated food, and all the stories we've heard. It's just amazing.
Being in the military lifestyle, everybody around you is in the military, and so you don't actually get like praise, or you're not pat on the back or anything like that, because it's your job, it's what you do, it's your lifestyle. There's nothing special about it in your environment. But when you step out of your environment and you come to things like this, or you're on a movement, or you go home on leave or anything like that, and you realize how much people appreciate what you're doing, it really hits home, and it means a lot. That's one of those things, like I said, you don't realize how much it means to people and you until you're physically shown, hey, people actually are grateful for this, that you do serve.
So this is just something that deep in my heart, I just really appreciate all of these military folks coming through, stopping, and just showing them about North Platte. And North Platte does remember the canteen, and we always do, and always will, and we always pray that they come home safe.
We got the call last week to come support the troops. They're coming through, and help was needed. So the community's coming together. People are here. It's awesome, and food keeps rolling in. Volunteers keep rolling in, and we're ready to serve our troops and our servicemen that are heading out to protect us.
Business organizations, churches, service clubs, and individuals were all enlisted to help. In just 3 days following confirmation of the event, everything was in place. A location was secured. School children made signs. Bags of goodies to send with the troops were prepared, and volunteers were scheduled. And the food, of course, the food.
The call came to me, and I worked with the gentleman, kind of finding different places that they could park. I hung up the phone and I went to my boss's office and said, we need to do something more for these 700 soldiers. And so that's when she joined in, and then before you know it, we found out that they were coming. They ended up coming 2 different days now because they couldn't find anywhere along their route that would accommodate that many people for one meal. And so we're still getting 720 people to come through in 2 days of military personnel, and North Platte has come together to give them the North Platte Canteen spirit.
I've been a duck hunter for 25 years, and I've been taking wounded warriors and National Guardsmen and reservist duck hunting for several years. And getting to know these young men and women in the military has been a joy, so I'm tickled spitless to be out here and helping with the canteen.
I am helping out here, trying to be ready for when the troops come in. Exciting to do something that we did 50-some years ago.
And I'm here to welcome people to North Platte. We love our service people, and it's great to have them come. It's such a neat thing that we can be part of what the canteen was originally. We can do it now.
And I'm volunteering here today because I think there's no greater honor than to be able to serve our servicemen and veterans. They do a lot for our country, and I think sometimes goes a little bit unrecognized. So it's just my pleasure to be able to give a little back to them.
This is Nebraska, and food is much more plentiful than during the days of rationing in the 1940s. Steak sandwiches would be the main course, with cold sandwiches, deviled eggs, pickles, chips, vegetables, cookies, cakes, brownies, and pies filling the plates. And there were birthday cakes. The 2018 Canteen Revival looked much different than the 1940s canteen. The troops arrived by bus, and the canteen itself was located far from the railroad tracks, near to the modern transportation corridor of Interstate 80. But looks alone separated 2018 from 1941. The astonishment of the young men and women as they stepped off the buses, the cheers from the townspeople, the warmth and hospitality that greeted them, the smiles, tears, laughter, hugs and handshakes, the good food they shared, all were as it had been more than 70 years ago. In 2 days, hundreds of volunteers greeted 700 servicemen and women. Much like the quick 10-minute stop of the 1940s, these soldiers had a short time in North Platte. 1, 2, or 3 buses would stop, and the troops would stream into the Canteen Revival, spend an hour, and then be on their way. The canteen volunteers would reset for the next buses coming through. Before too long, the words, "Put the coffee on," would ring through the hall. These words, code for "a troop train is pulling in," were first used in 1941 and were again used to alert the volunteers of an arriving bus. Both heroes and volunteers participated in a 75-year-old legacy that has shaped and changed many lives.
It gives us an opportunity to thank our servicemen of this country and give them a little bit of our thanks in food so they can get on their way.
I've lived in North Platte 19 years, and I just consider it an honor to be a part of a little slice of what happened in World War II during the canteen here in 2018.
Live here in North Platte. I've been here since 2006. We've always heard about the canteen and the history of North Platte, and boy, when this came up and we heard about this, I thought that this would be a great way to participate, helping troops that are protecting our freedoms, and then participate in the old canteen spirit. So this has been really a great experience, and everybody should try this out. This is wonderful.
And I'm here because I think it's such an outstanding thing to recreate the canteen. That was so wonderful.
While there were no names of young women in popcorn balls, the tradition of the birthday cake was carried on. One young serviceman serving his country was brought to tears as he admitted that this was his first birthday cake he had ever received in his life. His tears weren't the only ones shed. Just as the World War I canteen led to the World War II canteen, and the World War II canteen led to countless instances of hospitality and generosity, such as the 2018 Canteen Revival, so the example of the volunteers continue to pay dividends. Klein Tours vowed to donate the money they would have spent feeding the troops to the World War II Museum at Camp Shelby in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and to the Lincoln County Historical Museum for revamping the North Platte Canteen exhibit. Each received $7,000 from Klein Tours. Monetary donations far exceeding the expenses of the project flowed in. Following suit, the Visitors Bureau divided the proceeds between the Service Member Charity, Camp Alliance, and the museum. Each charity received $3,008. On September 25th, a military personnel contingent that included Major General Barry, CSM Veazey, CW5 Kinder, Colonel Stubbs, Lieutenant Colonel Sanders, CSM Rice, Major Phillips, and First Lieutenant Malone made their way to North Platte to acknowledge the extraordinary generosity of the community in a celebration at the Lincoln County Historical Museum.
Well, this was a great opportunity for the Arkansas National Guard to recognize the citizens of North Platte, Nebraska for the outstanding contribution that they made to feeding 750 soldiers after their return from Camp Guernsey, Wyoming. So we wanted to come out and tell them thank you, bring them a little memento to say how much we appreciate everything that they've done for us.
Well, I think it meant that the community's behind them, and whether it be the local community or the community at large, the American community, the American people, they're absolutely behind it. You know, we're all in this together. It's just not the folks that wear the uniform. It's the folks that we serve, and those that we serve wanted to take an opportunity to say thank you. So I think it meant everything to our soldiers to see their service is valued, their service is recognized.
The recreation of the North Platte Canteen was a historical event. Families who participated in the Canteen Revival in 2018 remembered their past generations who had a hand in the original canteen. The adults and children who volunteered in 2018 became part of a larger historic narrative that will continue to live for generations to come. Thank you to the generous hearts in North Platte, and thank you to our service members who continue to sacrifice every day.